3 a.m. secret, poor maid exposes billionaire boss's dark plot, shocking truth revealed. The clock read 3 a.m. when the world stood still. In the heart of that opulent mansion, where wealth dripped from golden chandeliers and secrets lurked in the shadows, Mia's heart pounded in her chest. She had heard whispers, faint and elusive, swirling like smoke through the grand hallways. What was her boss, the infamous billionaire Ethan Sterling, hiding? The kind of thing that only spilled out in the dead of night, when everyone else was asleep. Mia, clad in her crisp uniform, felt the electric thrill of curiosity. She was the maid, the invisible hand that cleaned Ethan's lavish existence. But behind those polished surfaces, she sensed a darkness creeping. The way Ethan's smile turned cold when he glanced at the framed photos of his family, the anxiety in his voice when he received late-night phone calls. And then there was the room that was always locked. What lay beyond that door? Steeling herself with a deep breath, Mia tread silently towards the forbidden area, her fingers trembling against the wall. In the grand scheme of glitz and glamour, she was just a grain of sand. Yet, that grain was about to spark a storm. Just as she reached for the doorknob, a shout echoed through the halls, fracturing the silence. The sound traveled like a chill down her spine. It was Ethan, followed by a loud crash. The walls trembled, as though they too bore witness to the unfolding chaos. Mia's pulse raced. Had she stumbled onto something bigger than she could handle? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Mia hesitated, her breath coming in quick gasps. Should she turn back? No. Something pulled her forward, an irresistible pull as strong as gravity. She pushed open the door, and it creaked ominously. Inside, the room was dark, shadows dancing like phantoms. Her eyes adjusted just in time to catch sight of a hidden safe, its surface slick with dust, as if untouched for ages. The air was thick with secrets. What was Ethan hiding? Just then, the distant sound of footsteps shattered her focus. Panic gripped her as she realized she might not be alone. The question loomed large in her mind: had she uncovered something too dangerous? And as she stood frozen, a sudden noise made her heart drop. What if secrets weren't the only thing lurking in the dark? The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the room like a drumroll of impending doom. Mia's heart raced as she ducked behind the safe, pressing herself against the cold, hard wall. She could barely breathe, each shallow inhale mixed with the musty scent of neglect. With her eyes wide, she scanned the shadows, trying to make sense of the encroaching darkness. The door creaked open just a crack, and a sliver of pale light spilled into the room. Mia held her breath. Ethan's silhouette loomed against the brightness, his face shadowed but unmistakable. He stepped in slowly, cautiously, as if he feared the very air around him. For a moment, he paused. Was he listening for something? Mia couldn't help but notice the tension in his posture. It was as if the weight of some enormous burden pressed down on him. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, checking the screen before whispering hurriedly, "I don't care what it takes. It has to be done tonight." Mia's heart dropped. What did he mean? It has to be done. A shiver ran down her spine. This was far too serious for a midnight call. She felt like she was in a movie, hiding from the villain, and her instincts screamed that whatever this was, it was dangerous, far beyond what she ever imagined. Ethan moved back toward the door, but instead of leaving, he suddenly turned around, a sense of urgency flashing across his features. "I'll take care of it." His voice was filled with an intensity that made Mia shiver. Who was he speaking to? What was he planning? As he turned the knob, Mia felt the panic surge again. She had to know. She couldn't stay hidden any longer. Gathering all her courage, she slipped out from behind the safe. The darkness enveloped her as she held her breath, inching closer to Ethan, every muscle in her body taut with fear. Then, without warning, Ethan's phone buzzed in his hand, breaking the fragile silence. "It's now or never," he snapped into the phone, every word laced with an odd mix of dread and determination. "No more waiting. The deal is on." Mia's heart raced. She caught the hint of something sinister in his plans. Was he making a deal with someone dangerous? Her thoughts raced through the possibilities: drugs, lies. Her pulse quickened as the implications hit her like a tidal wave. Before she could collect her thoughts, the door flung open wider. Ethan strode out, his back to her, completely unaware of the eyes watching him. Mia's instincts kicked in. She had to follow him. She slipped out from the shadows, heart pounding as she trailed him down the grand hallway, staying just a few steps behind. Each stride felt like a leap into the unknown, her mind racing with the consequences of her actions. She was veering dangerously close to something beyond her control. But if Ethan was involved in something illegal, she couldn't let it go unchecked. Ethan led her into a dimly lit back office, the faint glow of monitors illuminating the space like a gathering storm. The glowing screens were filled with static information that Mia couldn't decode, and for a second, she felt lost. But then she heard a name mentioned in Ethan's heated conversation on the phone, a name that made her blood run cold: Raven. A chill shot through Mia. Raven was notorious, ringing in her ears like a warning. Her stomach knotted, and fear mingled with curiosity. She knew she had to learn everything she could about this dark underworld Ethan was tangled in. What was happening here? The pieces of the puzzle clicked together, and she felt on the edge of a precipice. One misstep could send her tumbling into a nightmare she wouldn't escape. She clenched her fists, determination surging within her. She had to find out just what Ethan and Raven were scheming or risk everything to stop it. But as she leaned closer to the door, a voice echoed in her head. What if she was about to uncover something she never wanted to see? Mia pressed her ear against the doorframe, holding her breath, heart hammering in her chest like a warning drum. The muffled sounds inside the office mixed with the humming of machines, creating a tense atmosphere that seemed to wrap around her like a vice. She knew she was crossing into dangerous territory, but she had come too far to turn back now. Ethan's voice came through, sharp and laced with urgency. "You don't understand, Raven. This can't wait. The longer we delay, the more risk we take. We have to execute tonight, or everything is lost." Mia wanted to scream. Execute? What did that even mean? She felt herself teetering on the edge of panic as visions of what might happen next raced through her mind. Slimy deals in back rooms? Something more sinister? She steadied herself, trying to remain calm as she pivoted slightly to find a better angle. The office door was hinged awkwardly, and she caught a glimpse of Ethan's face twisted in anger. For a fleeting moment, she wondered if she truly knew him at all. Ethan's eyes were lit up with a fervor that was equal parts fear and excitement. "Raven, we can't back down now. This is the chance we've been waiting for. They're expecting us." Mia's stomach dropped. Who were they? Shadows danced on the edges of her vision as she strained to listen more closely. But then, she heard something that froze her blood. A low, cold laugh echoed through the room. "You're in deep, Ethan," came Raven's voice, smooth and venomous. "Once you make this deal, there's no turning back. Trust me, you'll regret it, but it'll be too late." Mia's heart raced even faster. This wasn't just a business deal, this was something much darker. Against her better judgment, she crept closer, inching her way toward the door. She couldn't grasp every word, but she caught enough to know it was perilous ground. Suddenly, the weight of her own presence hit her like a slap. What if Ethan turned back now? He could catch her. She was just a maid, a nobody hiding in the shadows. She had no real power here. But then the word betrayal floated through her mind. She couldn't betray him, not if he was risking everything. Just as she gathered the courage to step back, a sound pierced the air, a heavy thud. It was followed by shuffling footsteps. Mia spun around, heartbeat thundering in her ears, feeling like a deer caught in headlights. The door swung open, and there stood Ethan, his face suddenly ghostly pale. Mia. His eyes widened in shock, disbelief flickering across his features before anger swelled. You shouldn't be here. Mia felt her breath hitch. She was exposed, the weight of her curiosity crashing down on her like a tidal wave. Ethan, I just wanted to get out. He barked, his voice a fusion of fear and frustration. You don't understand what you're getting into. But before she could respond, the unmistakable sound of a car engine revved outside, followed by the metallic sound of a door slamming shut. Shadows flickered outside the window, and Mia's heart turned to ice. Someone was coming, and whatever Ethan was involved in was crashing down around them. Before she could scream, Ethan grabbed her wrist, pulling her deeper into the dimly lit office. You have to trust me, Mia. Whatever you think you know, it's worse than anything you can imagine. The panic in his eyes ignited a fierce protectiveness within her. Yet, doubt crept into her thoughts. How could she trust him now? Then, just as the door swung open again, a figure stepped into the room, silhouetted against the harsh hallway light. Raven stood there, a smile playing at the corner of his lips, the very embodiment of danger. Well, looks like we have a surprise guest, he sneered. Mia's heart dropped. She was trapped in a web far more tangled than she could have envisioned. But there was no way out, and the stakes were about to rise. What would they do next? And was there any escaping the grip of a deal made in shadows? The room felt suffocating, too small for the weight of Raven's gaze as he stepped fully inside. The light turned his figure into a dark form of menace. Mia's mouth dried up, and for a split second, all she could do was blink. Let her go, Raven, Ethan said, his voice steadier now but laced with urgency. This isn't her fight. She's not involved. Not involved. Raven's laughter danced mockingly off the walls, each note dripping with malice. But she is now, whether you like it or not. Secrets are like shadows, they cling to the unsuspecting. And she just stumbled into the depths of your darkness. Mia's heart lurched. Ethan's grip on her wrist tightened, as if holding on would shield her from the truth spinning around them. Mia, listen to me, he said, his face taut with desperation. You need to trust me right now. There's a lot going on, and I never wanted you to get caught up in it. Caught up? She was in too deep already. Her mind raced, piecing together the fragments of conversation she had overheard. What deal? What were they risking? And why did it feel like the walls were closing in? Raven stepped closer, a predator circling its prey. He eyed her with a sickening mix of intrigue and mock sympathy. Aren't you curious about the power dynamics surrounding you? He taunted. Ethan is playing with fire. And you, my dear, are the burning flame he can't resist. Mia's breath shallowed at the implication. You're wrong, she managed to say, her voice trembling slightly despite her best efforts. I don't want any part of this. But you already are, Raven replied, his voice low and chilling. You saw too much. Heard too much. And in our world, that makes you an obstacle. Ethan stepped defensively in front of her, a fierce act of protection, but his trembling hands betrayed his fear. Stop it, Raven. She's just a maid. Raven's smile widened, cutting through the tension with a sharp edge. And you think that makes her immune? He glanced back at Mia, his expression shifting, darkening. What's a maid's life worth, anyway? It's intriguing how people like her get in the way of powerful forces. They get crushed. Mia's stomach twisted. She wanted to shout, to ask why this was happening, to understand the implications of their words. But fear tangled her thoughts. If Raven was as dangerous as he seemed, she had to be careful. She couldn't let panic drive her. Raven sidestepped Ethan, closing the gap between himself and Mia. Tell me, what does it feel like? Knowing you're standing in the path of a disaster. Knowing this neophyte is dragging you down with him. Ethan's face was a mask of anguish. Don't listen to him, Mia. I'll explain everything. But before he could continue, Raven interrupted, his voice silky and dangerous. Save your breath, Ethan. The moment you involve her, you've lost control. We both know that. The clock is ticking, and choices need to be made. Raven turned back to Mia, his eyes glinting like steel. What do you want, little maid? Do you want to know how this ends? Or would you prefer to walk away, never knowing what you are truly involved in? The weight of his question hung heavy in the air. Mia felt the room's temperature rise, her heart stuttering in her chest. The world around her blurred, the choices before her felt monumental. Did she dare to confront the nightmare, or would she turn away and live in ignorance, forever haunted by her curiosity? Choose wisely, Raven murmured, stepping back again, leaving a space of uncertainty pulsing between them. The next move is yours. Mia stared at Ethan. She had never been good at making choices under pressure. But she had to decide. Did she trust him, or was the truth hiding more dangers than she could imagine? Then, just as the moment stretched taut and she prepared to speak, the sharp screech of tires echoed from the parking lot, an intrusion that filled the room with a sudden, dense tension. The noise churned her stomach, warning that danger was closing in. What was coming next, and could they withstand it together? The screech of tires was followed by a heavy silence, thick enough to choke on. Mia's heart raced as her mind flitted through 100 horrifying possibilities. Her attention flickered from Raven to Ethan, then back again, trying to gauge their reactions. The tension in the room felt electric, as if the very air was charged with impending chaos. What was that? Mia asked, her voice barely a whisper, nerves twisting in knots. She could see Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes darting to the door, calculating their next move. Stay here, he ordered, though his tone lacked certainty. Before she could protest, he pulled away, his body stiffening as he approached the door. Raven watched with a smirk, clearly relishing the impending drama. Ah, the knight in shining armor, he said mockingly, feigning wistfulness. But even the bravest can't save everyone. Can he, Mia? Shut up. Ethan shot back, his voice rising with agitation. The fact that he was so willing to defend her, to shield her from Raven's influence, filled her with a strange mix of gratitude and fear. Outside, the sound of footsteps echoed, sharp and distinct against the pavement. Mia could feel the ground beneath her vibrate with every step, a menacing heartbeat reminding her of the stakes they were facing. She strained to hear more, but only the quiet buzz of her own pulse filled the silence. Raven took a step closer. What do you think is waiting for you out there? His tone was slick, dripping with malevolence. Another pawn sent to do Ethan's bidding. Your life is a mere game to these people, Mia. Don't you see? Mia swallowed hard, trying to shake off the dread pooling in her stomach. She didn't want to be part of this twisted game, yet here she was, standing at the center of it. Looking into Raven's eyes was like staring into a void. She felt lost, insignificantly small against the weight of his gaze. Ethan, we have to go. Now, she urged softly, her eyes pleading with him. But before he could respond, the door burst open, slamming against the wall. A figure stood silhouetted against the dim light, tall and imposing, a storm of energy and anticipation. Mia's heart dropped as she recognized the familiar face now etched with a grim expression. It was Leo, Raven's right-hand man. Mia. Leo barked, his voice booming. You need to come with me. Now. Ethan reacted instantly, slipping back into protectiveness, positioning himself in front of Mia. You're not taking her anywhere. Leo scoffed, his demeanor shifting like a wolf observing prey. You don't understand. Raven's plans are unraveling, and if she stays, she's at risk. We need to get out of here. It's not safe. Mia's head spun. Risk? Plans? Questions swarmed her mind as the implications of Leo's words settled in. There was more at stake than she had realized, and the urgency in Leo's voice made her skin prickle with fear. Raven laughed darkly, breaking the tension. This is rich. The two of you, torn between heroes and villains. But trust is a double-edged sword, and someone will bleed. Enough. Ethan shouted. He turned briefly to Mia, his expression firm and resolute. We're getting out of here, together. I promise. Mia's heart swelled, warmth spreading through her chest at his words. But then Raven stepped forward again, filling the doorway, blocking their escape. You think this is over? You're mistaken. I'll make sure you both understand what chaos truly means. As fear festered inside her, Mia felt a surge of resolve. It was time to decide who could she trust. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a heavy crash echoed from off to the side, causing all eyes to shift momentarily. The storm outside had intensified, wind howling like a warning. Now's our chance. Leo shouted, breaking the momentary freeze. Mia felt adrenaline spike through her veins. Let us go. She yelled, grasping Ethan's hand tightly, pulling him towards the still open door. But just then, Raven lunged forward, intent on stopping them. In that split second, the tension snapped like a rubber band, and the three of them surged toward the exit. The world. Outside loomed a chaotic mix of darkness and desperation. But would they escape the claws of danger waiting in the shadows? As they burst outside, Mia stumbled, and the cold night air hit her like a slap. But something glinted in the twilight as she looked back. A shadow lingered behind them, distant yet powerful, a dark omen of what was to come. What was it that stalked them now, and could they outrun the truth that was closing in? The rain poured down as if the sky itself was weeping in sympathy for their plight. Mia gasped, pulling Ethan closer as they dashed into the night, frantic footsteps splashing through puddles and sending flickers of light from nearby street lamps skittering across the slick pavement. Where do we go? She yelled over the howling wind, her voice barely cutting through the deluge of sound. Follow me. Leo shouted, leading them down a narrow alley. The darkness closed in, swallowing them whole as they ducked into the thin passage. The scent of wet asphalt and something metallic hung thick in the air. Ethan scanned the area, his protective instincts on high alert. We can't keep running forever. He'll find us, he muttered, glancing over his shoulder nervously. Just keep moving, Leo urged, eyes darting. We need to get to a safe spot where we can figure this out. Mia's heart raced, every beat echoing the frantic patter of rain. She struggled to compartmentalize the chaos swelling inside her. Raven's words played over and over again in her mind, trust is a double-edged sword. Was Leo one of them? Or was he genuinely trying to save her? They turned a corner and skidded to a halt as they encountered a steel gate blocking further access. Damn it! Leo cursed under his breath. It's locked. Panic surged through Mia as headlights pierced the darkness at the end of the alley, gradually breaking through the downpour. They're coming. She gasped. Get down. Ethan shouted, pulling Mia behind the dumpster, commanding her to huddle close. The shadows of figures loomed closer, illuminated by the harsh lights, and a knot of dread seized her stomach. She didn't know who they were, but they could only be trouble. I'll handle this, Leo whispered, slipping out from their cover. He breathed in deeply, trying to appear calm, but his fists clenched at his sides. Mia watched as he approached two figures now standing just feet away. One was burly, cloaked in a leather jacket, the other was slender with a hood drawn tight. Mia couldn't make out their features, but the way they moved hinted at undue menace. Tension filled the air as Leo gestured at them, arms wide. You don't want this fight, he warned. Mia held her breath, fingers digging into Ethan's arm. She could feel his heartbeat matching her own, rapid, desperate. The taller figure laughed, a sound that slithered through the rain. Oh, but we do, Leo. You see, Raven doesn't take failure lightly. The words hung in the air like a spark waiting to ignite a fire. In fact, the man continued, uncertainty cloaked in bravado, he's made it clear that anyone caught helping the girl is a deafening crack of thunder interrupted the threat. Before she knew it, Leo lunged forward, fists flying in a blur of movement. The fight erupted, and Mia's heart raced as she watched the chaos unfold. "Ethan!" she yelled, her sense of self-preservation overpowering her resolve to stay hidden. "We can't just sit here." He nodded, determination flashing in his eyes as he looked at the fight. "On three," he said, his voice steady. 1, 2, 3. They burst from their hiding spot, rushing toward the confrontation. Leo tangled with one of them, while the other, noticing them too late, stumbled back, his shock clearly readable. But the moment was fleeting. The second man regained his footing, a wicked grin crossing his face. "This isn't over," he spat, shoving Leo aside. Ethan collided with the brute, using every ounce of adrenaline pulsing through him. Mia gritted her teeth, adrenaline clawing at her insides, urging her to act, to fight, to save. Then, another echoing voice crashed over the chaos, piercing through the rain. "What is going on here?" Every head turned. The heavy thud of boots against the pavement resonated through Mia's bones as a new figure emerged from the shadows, the silhouette unmistakable, dark and authoritative. It was Raven. "Run!" Leo shouted, panic bubbling in his voice as he pushed Ethan and Mia away from the fight. But did they have what it took to escape him this time? Mia didn't want to think about the danger, the very real threat now tangling with their lives. They were out in the open, nowhere to go, and Raven was closing in. Could they truly outrun their fate, or was it already too late for them? Mia's breath came in short gasps as they stumbled back. The alley felt like it was closing in, the rain pouring down like a relentless barrage. Raven's eyes glinted in the dim light, and every instinct screamed at her to flee. "Where do we go?" Ethan shouted, his voice edged with panic. "There's a way out." Leo insisted, his thoughts racing as he grasped Mia's hand. "This way." He tugged them toward the side of the alley, where a barely visible door stood slightly ajar. Raven's voice cut through the noise. "Don't even think about it," he roared, stepping forward, his heels cracking against the wet pavement. The aggressive authority in his tone stopped Mia cold. Leo hesitated for just a moment, and without thinking, she lunged toward him. "We can't let him catch us." "Now," Ethan urged, pushing them both toward the door as Raven grabbed for Leo. The moment felt slow, every heartbeat pounding deafeningly in her ears. Leo dove through the doorway just as Raven's fingers brushed against the back of his jacket. Mia felt a sharp tug at her heart. Was that the last chance for Leo? The door swung shut behind them with a resounding clang that echoed in the dark corridor, muffling the sound of the storm outside. They found themselves in a cramped, dimly lit room, the air thick with dust and dampness. Shadows danced around the wall, twisting in the faint light. A single bulb flickered overhead, illuminating old furniture and what appeared to be a disused storeroom. "What now?" Ethan panted, panic sparking in his eyes. "Just a minute," Leo shouted, pacing the floor. "We need to catch our breath." If he's following suddenly, the sounds of footsteps thudded against the door behind them. "I can hear you," Raven called out, his voice chilling. "You can't hide from me. Not now, not ever." Mia pressed her back against the wall, her heart racing. "What is he?" she whispered, feeling the cold grip of fear clutch at her chest. "Raven is more than he seems," Leo replied, his face stern. "He's dangerous, and not just because of his power. There's something deeply twisted about him, something he won't reveal." Ethan's eyes darted around the cramped room. "What does that mean? What does he want with you, Mia?" Leo stepped closer, lowering his voice urgently. "We need to figure this out, quickly. If he finds us, if he realizes you're still alive." "What do you mean still alive?" Mia interrupted, feeling the cold sweat on her forehead. "Raven thinks he has total control. But you know too much, Mia. You hold the key to his downfall, whether you realize it or not. A sudden crash from outside the door startled all of them. Enough games. Raven's voice sliced through the air. You can't outsmart me, Mia. I'll find you, and when I do, you won't like the consequences. Fear coursed through Mia like ice. They were trapped, with nowhere to go. Her thoughts raced. What did she have that could threaten Raven? Her heart begged for a revelation, a glimmer of hope to hang on to amid the dread. Quick, look for something we can use. Ethan urged, scanning shelves that seemed to sag under the weight of forgotten clutter. But as Mia grabbed a rusty pipe from a shelf, her eyes caught on a flickering piece of paper. She pried it free, and a sense of unease settled over her as she read the barely legible scrawl. Leo, she called out. What is this? It looks like a plan. No time. Leo snapped, knocking over a box and grabbing a fire extinguisher. We prepare, and we wait for our moment. Before she could respond, the door rattled violently, and Raven's voice grew closer. They needed to act fast, to confront the reality that everything they had feared was real and converging on them. Could they use this plan to turn the tide? Or would Raven discover their hiding place before they could make a move? Mia's heart pounded as she stood on the edge of their fate, ready to face the storm that waited just beyond the barrier. This was no longer just about escape, it was about uncovering a truth that could alter everything they knew if only they dared. Get ready, Leo whispered. Whatever happens, we stand together. But as the door creaked ominously, the pressing weight of darkness meant one thing: nothing would ever be the same again. What hidden secrets did this plan really contain? Could they truly confront the figure that Raven represented before them? The door shuddered under the relentless pounding. Each thud resonated like a war drum, reverberating through Mia's chest. The fleeting glimmer of hope she had felt when discovering the paper now seemed distant, dulled by the encroaching dread. Leo, what are we going to do? Mia's voice trembled, her grip tightening around the cold pipe. Stay quiet, Leo said, his eyes wide with determination. He glanced at Ethan, who stood jaw clenched, fists balled at his sides. We'll use this time. Whatever this plan says, it could be our way out. Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the door. Just a little longer, he muttered. The rattling intensified, and with every shake, Mia felt her heart bolt against her rib cage. It was like the entire world had narrowed down to that rotting storeroom, the chill creeping in through the cracks of the old walls added to her fear. Listen, she whispered, but the air was thick, as though the entire place knew they were hiding from something monstrous. It was suffocating. Mia, we need to think strategically, Leo insisted as he moved closer to her, his voice a hiss. He unfurled the crumpled piece of paper, the flickering bulb offering just enough light to reveal its cryptic annotations. If Raven doesn't get in, we can turn his own game against him. What does it say? Ethan asked, edging closer to catch a glimpse as Leo scanned the notes. Something about a meeting, a drop-off. Leo squinted, his brow furrowing with concentration. It mentions a place, to the old warehouse by the docks. There's a rendezvous with someone else. Mia couldn't breathe. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating their faces briefly. In that moment, she caught the merciless glint in Leo's eyes. This just might be our key, he murmured, absorbing the urgency of their situation. Mia's mind raced. What if we turn ourselves in? She proposed hastily, surprising even herself. If we show up at the warehouse, maybe we can find out who he is working with. Maybe her voice broke, it'll lure him away from here. Both boys stared at her, and then Ethan spoke, shaking his head. Are you out of your mind? We can't just walk into his trap. But what if that is a trap? Leo rebutted, urgency dripping from his words. If we force his hand, if we control the narrative control. Ethan shot back. That's what Raven has always done. It's how he operates. We can't risk our lives on a guess. I'm not staying here to be hunted like an animal. Mia's voice cracked, revealing the fear gnawing at her. If there's even a chance to find out how to stop him, we have to take it. The door shuddered violently again, as if Raven sensed their rising adrenaline, a beast catching the scent of its prey. I'll make this easy for you. Give up now, or I'll tear this place apart. His voice was low, taunting. Time's running out, Leo whispered sharply. So, Mia, what do you want to do? Mia felt the weight of their lives resting on her shoulders, the decision now hers. The urgency of the moment crushed down on her, as the flickering light above illuminated the fear and resolve on their faces. She looked at Ethan, then at Leo, her heart split between safety and the daunting prospect of confronting the monster that hunted them. Let us go, she finally said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her stomach. To the warehouse. With a shared glance that signified agreement and dread, they steered toward the door. Mia felt a line being crossed, a point of no return. Whatever lay ahead, they could no longer turn back from the path they had chosen. As Leo steeled himself to push the door open, freezing rain poured in through the cracks. Mia's thoughts swirled: would they walk into Raven's waiting arms or discover the truth that lay hidden in the shadows? And just as the door creaked open, a sinister laugh echoed behind them, cutting through the din of the storm. Now, where do you think you're going? Raven's voice slithered into their ears like ice. Mia's blood ran cold. They were no longer just prey. The hunt had officially begun. What dark alliances waited at the warehouse? And could they survive the truth that Raven would reveal? The door swung open, revealing the chaotic tableau outside. Rain lashed against the shuddering frame as a tempest raged overhead, wind tearing at their clothes like an angry specter. The dim light barely filtered through the storm, leaving vague shapes swaying in the murky twilight. Mia's heart raced as she stepped into the night, adrenaline igniting every nerve. Move fast, Leo hissed, urgency sharpening his features. The alley was dark and cramped, shadows coiling around them with an unsettling familiarity, whispering of danger lurking just out of sight. Ethan took the lead, his eyes darting back and forth. We need to stick together. If Raven's out there at that moment, the crack of thunder shook the ground, amplifying their fears. Mia winced, glancing over her shoulder, half expecting to see Raven lurking behind them, his smile taunting and wicked. The thought propelled her forward, every footfall feeling labored. Are you sure about this? Ethan's voice was low, apprehensive. Walking into that warehouse could mean catching him off guard. Mia cut in, her voice brittle but steady. We have to risk it. It's the only way to play into his game. Leo turned the corner first, the flickering light of the warehouse in the distance becoming clearer. There it is. Just stay alert. As they approached, the forbidding silhouette of the warehouse loomed larger, a dark specter against the stormy skyline. The sound of rain began to fade, replaced by an ominous silence that blanketed them like fog. The abandoned docks whispered secrets of a past they'd never known, shadows dancing between the gaps of rotting crates. With each step closer, Mia felt the weight of dread coiling in her stomach. The warehouse was more than just a building, it was a chilling reminder of Raven's reach and the dangers they faced. Do you hear that? Ethan stopped suddenly, straining to listen. Fear etched across his face. Mia paused, tuning into the soft, rhythmic sound slicing through the silence. A low hum, almost mechanical, drifted in the air. What is that? She murmured, scanning the environment. I don't know, but we should check it out, Leo said, his voice steady, but there was a tremor beneath it. They crept closer, hearts pounding in sync. The door creaked ominously as they pushed it open. Inside, shadows danced in the dim light, revealing a scene that made Mia freeze in her tracks. Tables lined the room, cluttered with ominous-looking crates, each marked with a symbol she recognized from the paper Leo had found. The hum grew louder, vibrating against the floor, and towering shelves loomed like gargoyles, holding secrets she was afraid to uncover. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. Tall, clad in black, with an expression that blended familiarity and malice. It was Raven, his smile unnervingly calm against the chaos surrounding them. "What a surprise," he said, his voice smooth like silk, yet edged with something darker. "You found me sooner than I expected. I had hoped you'd take your time." Mia's heart raced, the raw intensity of the moment crushing her chest. "What do you want from us?" she demanded, forcing the words out despite the tremor in her voice. "Want? Oh, sweet children, it's not about what I want, it's about what you want." He stepped closer, shadows dancing around him, his presence blocking her escape. Choices define you. And here, you'll make the most important choices of your life." His eyes twinkled with a madness that sent shivers down her spine. Mia could feel the air thickening, the reality of their situation hitting her like a punch to the gut. With a dark smile, he added, "Shall we begin?" Just then, a deafening crash echoed from behind, shattering the fragile air of tension. The noise was followed by distant shouts, chaotic and wild, tossing everything into turmoil. "You see?" Raven chuckled. "The game is just heating up. Let the real fun begin." Mia's heart raced as she exchanged frantic glances with Leo and Ethan. Whatever was unfolding, it was bigger than any of them had anticipated. What awaited them in this cursed place filled with secrets? And could they dare to uncover the choices Raven was offering, or would they fall prey to the twisted game he had laid out? The dust kicked up around them, swirling as they stared into the unknown. Raven leaned against a wall, arms crossed, his expression smug. The chaos outside grew louder, but in the tension-filled air of the warehouse, everything felt surreal and stagnant, like holding breath. "Mia, remember why we're here," Ethan whispered, his gaze never leaving Raven. "We need to keep him distracted." Mia nodded, resolving to face the monster before them. "What choices?" she asked, her voice unwavering, even though trepidation bubbled beneath the surface. Raven's smile widened, his eyes glittering. "Each choice has a price, dear girl," he purred. "You stand here at a crossroads. What will you sacrifice for power? For freedom?" As he spoke, Mia's mind raced, trying to comprehend the implications of his words. Did they really have the chance to turn this around? To come out on the other side unscathed? Suddenly, the echoing crashes from outside surged with intensity. "What the hell?" screamed Leo, eyes darting toward the door. "We have to," but Raven raised a finger, silencing them. "Oh, I wouldn't move just yet. The storm outside is nothing compared to the tempest brewing in here. You three are tangled in a web of choices that stretch far beyond this moment." Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she turned to Ethan and Leo. "What if we do surrender?" she suggested, bravely edging forward, but cautious of Raven's relatively calm demeanor. "What if we let him think he won?" "Are you crazy?" Ethan interjected, panic creeping up his voice. "He'll have no reason to let us leave if we do that. But we need to know what he's planning." Mia insisted, the weight of their lives compressing her will. Moments of hesitation swept over her like shadows. She had to hold on to courage, to hope. Raven chuckled, a smooth yet unsettling sound. "Ah, the sweet allure of betrayal. But again, decisions lead to consequences." He leaned in closer, a predatory glimmer in his eye. "So choose, lovely maid. Will you silence yourself and submit to my game? Or will you fight your way to potential doom?" Mia felt her breath hitch. His words struck like daggers, metaphorical ice picking at her heart. What if we took control? What if we flipped the script? Control. That's adorable, Raven replied, his face a darker mask now. But, truthfully, once you're in my sphere, you become part of the story one way or another. Stop playing with us, Raven. Leo shouted, voice shattering the calm. What do we need to do? Raven merely laughed a hollow, menacing sound. Oh, Leo, you misunderstand. This isn't about what you need to do. It's about the price you're willing to pay. Just then, the door crashed open wide, the sound thunderous, slicing through the tension like a knife. A shadowy silhouette emerged, the shapes it cast bearing familiarity. It was Leo's old partner, Ava, flanked by a few others. Relief washed over Mia at the sight of allies arriving, but uncertainty lurked beneath it. Leo. Mia. Ethan. We thought we lost you. Ava shouted, eyes wide as she took in the tense scene with Raven. The moment hung heavy in the air, and Raven's expression shifted, fury blending with surprise. How do you always show up at the worst possible times? He snarled, looking at Ava as if she were a pesky gnat. Ava held her ground. We won't let you take them. She seemed more fierce than Mia remembered. Looks like the cavalry is here, Raven said, amusement trilling through his voice. But you're too late. The choices are being made. The air thickened once again as the storm outside shrieked louder. Mia. Ava shouted, urgency flooding her voice. We need to stick together. Do you trust us? Yes. Mia shouted back without hesitation, eager to unite against the growing darkness. We need to stop Raven. With the distraction thrown into the mix, a fierce storm of resolve ignited within Mia. The lines were drawn, and they needed to take action before they were trapped again. Raven. No more games. What do you propose? Raven said, straightening up, measured curiosity returning to his tone. What do you want? Mia demanded, stepping forward, heart hammering, grounding her bravery with desperation. Power. This empire of fear. She gestured to the shadows around them. It's not worth it. Ah, brave little maid, Raven cooed mockingly. Your heart is admirable, but it's lost. You know nothing of power and what it demands. Mia glanced back at the others, resolve propelling her forward. What if we made a deal? Not just any deal, the end of your reign. We can unearth everything you've done. Raven's laughter erupted, echoing harshly across the walls of the warehouse. You defeat me? You're grasping at straws. But even in his arrogance, Mia sensed an opening, a fracture in his facade. Maybe a disruption is what it takes, Leo chimed in, determination etched on his face. Maybe we go against the grain. You don't control everything. Raven's smile faltered slightly. You think you can change the narrative? But a spark, fueled by desperation and strength, flickered within Mia. Not just the narrative. The entire game. Before Raven could respond, the air shifted again, a change sweeping through the dim room as allies grasped hands and surged together for strength. In that moment, the storm outside shrieked louder, but their internal resolve cracked open, a glimmer of hope against the encroaching darkness. We won't go easily, Mia declared, her heart racing. We will rise against you. With that, a unified force rushed forward, truths and promises coalescing into fight, each step forward fueled by the fact that they were more than mere pawns in Raven's game. They were each other's strength, ready to unravel the darkness, seize control, and turn the tide. The warehouse trembled with the impending clash between them and Raven, the storm outside a mere echo of the real battle raging within. And as they charged, the finality of choice descended. Would they crash the chains of fear that had held them captive? Or would they fall prey to the darkness that had always slithered just beneath the surface? In the heart of the storm, Mia felt her fate intertwine with her choice. There was no turning back. Now, they would unveil the truth together no matter what it took. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and support your favorite tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear from you, and for real, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of backing the channel.